Using the Rock as their mobile fortress monastery, the Dark Angels have crisscrossed the galaxy, bringing war to the Emperor's enemies. Few other Space Marine chapters can match their roll call of victories, for they have fought in the forefront of many of the most crucial battles in the Imperium's history. For the Dark Angels, however, no action ever is enough to atone for the sins of their ancestors. They remain the Unforgiven until every last fallen angel has been captured, repented, and accepted the Emperor's peace. When the Dark Angels achieve a battlefield objective, they immediately leave to seek their next engagement. They are not a chapter who rebuilds shattered Imperial worlds or performs humanitarian missions. They are the Emperor's warriors, bred solely for battle. After every combat, they reclaim their wounded and fallen comrades and any prisoners they have taken before returning to their orbiting fleet. As a general rule, the secretive Dark Angels do not share battle records with the Administratum. They comply with the letter of Imperial law, which requires that astropathic reports be made to Terra concerning their campaigns, but these communications remain minimal. The Imperium's knowledge of the chapter's plans and actions are vague, on par with only the Space Wolves, who are infamous for the utter disregard they show the bureaucrats of the Adeptus Administratum. The Imperium gleans most of its knowledge about the Dark Angels' activities from outside reports, such as those submitted by those planetary governors and Imperial commanders who fought beside them, or from the Inquisitors sent to inspect them. With their triumphs far too numerous to list in full here in this audio, what follows are those battles that the Dark Angels themselves consider worthy of special commemoration by the chapter. The Dawn of the Imperium, from M30 to M31. The Unification Wars, in circa late 29th till 712 M30. The Dark Angels Legion was the very first of the original 21st founding Space Marine Legions to be created at the end of the Unification Wars, and so was originally under the command of the Emperor himself, when he first began to breed a new type of transhuman warrior using the genome of the missing Primarch Lionel Johnson. Candidates were selected from those Tyranids that had fought beside the Emperor during the Unification Wars when he first revealed himself and his purpose. With the First Legion's aid, the Emperor reconquered Terra, and humanity was on the brink of launching into a golden age, the age of the Imperium. So it was not strange that when the Emperor perfected his techniques for the creation of the Space Marines, many of these Tyranids were chosen to lead the Great Crusade. The Cull of the Thunder Warriors, in circa 669 M30. Extant sources state that as the Wars of Unification came to a close, the Thunder Warriors at last realized that their creator had cursed them with short lifespans as a result of their imperfect genetic augmentations, and turned upon him for what they saw as his betrayal. It was a cadre of several hundred custodians of the elite Legio Custodes, even then believed to have been led by the legendary Constantine Valdor, and accompanied by several thousand prototype Astartes of the First Legion of the newborn Space Marines that stood in the Emperor's defense, carrying out a merciless culling of the obsolete and rebellious Gene soldiers. The Great Crusade, from circa 798 M30 to 5 M31. As the warp storms of the Age of Strife subsided, the Emperor and his newly created Space Marine legions forged outwards from Terra to reconquer the human-settled galaxy. First among the Legion's number were those who would come to be known as the Dark Angels. It is while reclaiming the planets colonized by humanity during the Age of Technology that the Primarch Lionel Johnson, one of the lost gene sons of the Emperor, was discovered on Caliban and was reunited with the Legion made from his gene seed. Under his leadership, the newly renamed Dark Angels served the Emperor's cause with great distinction, claiming more victories than any other Legion, save for the 16th, the Lunar Wolves, under the command of L. Johnson's brother, Horus. The discovery of Primarch L. Johnson in 846 M30. The Emperor of Mankind came to the death world of Caliban and reunited with his lost gene son, Lionel Johnson, a young, newly inducted Calibanite, 1st Legion librarian, Zahariel El-Zurias, narrowly averted an attempted assassination on the Emperor's life. After being given command of the 1st Legion, the Lion reforged it into his own image and dubbed them the Dark Angels, named after an allegorical figure of Calibanite myth. The Compliance of Molech in 869 M30. This was one of the Dark Angels Legion's earliest recorded campaigns under the command of their newly appointed Primarch, Lionel Johnson. The newly discovered Night World of Molech was brought into Imperial compliance through a massive joint compliance operation between multiple Legiones Astartes, including the Dark Angels, Lunar Wolves, Emperor's Children, White Scars, and thousands of Imperialis Auxilia soldiers, and various Mechanicum and Legio Titanicus assets. Cyprian Devine of House Devine was named planetary governor of Molech. In the presence of several of his Primarch sons, the Emperor led them to a warp portal, where he proceeded to enter into the realm of chaos to parley with the runer's powers. When he returned, the Emperor appeared aged, but much more powerful. He then suppressed his son's memories of Molech and stationed a large garrison force comprised of nearly 100 Imperialis Auxilia regiments, 3 Legio Titanicus cohorts, along with detachments from 2 Space Marine legions to protect the secrets of the war portal on Molech. The Rangdan Xenocides, from circa 839 to 890 M30. The Titans of the Legio Griffonicus, as well as the Legio Vulturum, the Legio Kidianos, and other Xanthite Mechanicum forces of Xana II, served alongside the vaunted Dark Angels Legion during the vital campaign known as the Rangdan Xenocides. The Dark Angels hurled themselves at these terrible Xenos enemies and broke their greatest strength in countless battles against the vile aliens on the edge of the Halo stars. This campaign culminated in the 3rd Rangdan Xenocide around 890 M30, which resulted in the loss of the lives of 50,000 Space Marines spent in preventing the destruction of perhaps the entire Northern Imperium by the menace from the outer darkness. Due to these extensive losses suffered by the 1st Legion, by 899 M30, the Ultramarines Legion was on the cusp of becoming the largest Space Marine Legion, standing at around 166,000 legionaries. The Assault on Delan in 870 M30. As the Space Marine Legions pushed back the frontiers of the nascent Imperium during the Great Crusade, each Primarch strove to excel in the eyes of the Emperor, and none more so than Leman Russ, Primarch of the Space Wolves. Only Horus and Lionel Johnson could claim more victories than Russ, and this was a constant frustration for the Wolf King. It was on the world of Delan where the Space Wolves were fighting alongside the Dark Angels, that matters came to a head. The Tyrant of Duran, Durath, had personally insulted the Emperor, sacrificing thousands of Imperial officials to his patron demon. Both Ross and L. Johnson desired the honor of slaying this heretic. The Tyrant Durath insulted Ross, causing him to demand the right to lead the attack on the fortress. L. Johnson ignored him and led his own carefully planned attack instead, killing the tyrant personally. After the battle, Ross confronted and attacked him for this insult to his honor, and the two dueled for a solar day and a night. Ross eventually stopped attacking, seeing the humor of the situation, at which point L. Johnson knocked him unconscious in his wrath. Only then did the Lion consider honor to be satisfied. The prostrate Ross was carried from the fortress by his warriors, and when he regained consciousness, the Dark Angels had already departed to fight in the Alisor campaign. Ross swore he would avenge the stain on his honor. To this day, whenever the Space Wolves and Dark Angels meet, one of their number is called upon to refight the duel of the Primarchs in order that honor may be satisfied. The discovery of Laskel in circa 900 M30. This terrestrial world was discovered on the edge of the Grail Abyss by the 7th Expeditionary Fleet under Lord Commander Suleiman Grimm of the 1st Legion. Originally, it had been a feral orc holding before the Dark Angels exterminated the orc infestation. Laskel became a forward outpost of the Great Crusade, and later a naval fleet anchorage for the Armada Imperialis was constructed there in orbit under the auspices of the Lucian Mechanicum. Continuing to grow, by 902 M30, Laskel had become an independent and self-sustaining imperial colony.